My family tried to steal my house because I'm single. I fought back. They laughed when I lived in a camper. Now they want to steal my house because I'm single. I'm a single man in my early 30s, no wife, no kids, just peace and freedom, or so I thought. A few years ago, I bought myself a 3-bedroom home after surviving 2 years of living in a camper. Yeah, a camper. I lived out of that tiny metal box after losing everything during the pandemic: job, apartment, even most of my possessions. I had nothing but that camper and a stubborn will to climb back up. And I did. Found a job. Worked my way up. Got promoted. Saved every dime. Bought a house with my own hands, my own blood, sweat, and sacrifice. It was mine. My quiet sanctuary after years of being treated like garbage by my own family. Then came the message. A knock on the door. And with it, hell. My parents, my younger brother Dan, the golden child, his wife, let's call her Still, and their 4 kids showed up uninvited at my house. I never gave them the address, yet somehow, they found me. They walked right in like they owned the place, complimented the house just enough to seem polite, then came the real reason they were there. "You have so much space for just one man," my mom said with a sugary tone. "This house is closer to my job," Dan added casually. "Just think about the kids," Still said while resting her hand on her pregnant belly with a dramatic sigh. I knew something was off. A few moments later, Dan asked to talk privately. Everyone else left the room like it was scripted. Then came the pitch. He told me I should move into the camper again and let him, Still, and their kids live in the house. I could still use the backyard and, hey, you don't need all this space anyway. He talked over me, laid out new rules, even mentioned curfews for my house. The entitlement was unreal. I said hell no. Loud. Clear. He didn't even flinch. He genuinely thought this was already settled, that I'd just hand over the keys. That night, I posted the entire story on social media, including a video I'd recorded of our conversation. Family saw it. Word spread. My parents and Dan tried to spin the narrative, too late. The truth was out. Then came round 2. Exactly a week later, they returned. This time with a moving truck in my driveway. Dan and Still were already unloading boxes. Still smirked and said, "It's okay, your mommy gave us permission." I locked myself in my truck and called the police. Still banged on the window, threatening to key my truck if I didn't just do it for Dan. The 911 operator heard it all. When the cops arrived, Dan and Still had locked themselves inside my house. They'd changed the locks, drilled the old one out. Left the drill right there like idiots. Dan handed the cops a rental agreement, forged. My name, fake signature. Clearly not mine. The police weren't impressed. I told them everything. Showed ID proving it was my address. The forged papers. The broken lock. Even the video of Still hitting me last time they visited. Faced with charges for fraud, breaking and entering, and assault, my parents finally backed down. But not before trying one more time. "Do it for Dan," my mother pleaded, crying. "No," I said. "Dan isn't my responsibility. You raised him to think the world owes him." "Well, I don't." Still had a full-blown meltdown in the yard. Refused to help repack the truck. The kids were crying. Dan looked like a whipped dog. But they left. And I made sure everyone saw it. Social media exploded. My parents' reputation in the family circle? Destroyed. Most of our relatives took my side, especially after I shared the recording. Even the old flying monkeys turned silent. But of course, it wasn't over. Christmas came. I hosted a big family party. My first real celebration in years. Laughter, music, even eggnog. Then, they showed up again. Dan, Still, and my parents just walked in uninvited, trying to play nice. Said they brought gifts. Wanted to make amends. But I wasn't buying it, and neither were my relatives. My uncle, my mom's brother, stood up and tore into them. You don't deserve to be here after what you tried. Even my grandparents, who always stayed neutral, told my parents they were disappointed. That they'd finally seen the truth behind the masks. Still broke down crying again, saying I didn't need the house because I didn't have a family, while she had 4 kids. I snapped. I told her she wasn't even a good mom. That my own mom does most of the parenting while still drinks, spends Dan's money, and complains online. I may have even joked that her baby's getting drunk off her breast milk. Harsh? Maybe. But I was done. Her oldest kid came running, trying to kick me, yelling that I made his mom cry. But Dan? He just sat there, unable to defend himself, not in front of a whole room full of people who finally saw him for what he was. Humiliated, they left. The party resumed. Since then, things have been quiet. Still deleted her passive-aggressive posts. Dan hasn't tried anything else. My parents don't speak to me. Good riddance. Me? I finally live in peace. I use the camper as a guest house now. Poker nights with friends. Beer. Burgers. Bad bluffing. Pure freedom. And every time I hear someone say, "Just do it for Dan," I smile. Not anymore.